Today is a dream come true for me. I have one of my favorite people on this planet, Katie Morton, who is a licensed therapist, and we met each other probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
As soon as I met you, I loved you because what Katie is doing online is helping people like me who have survived trauma in their life. She's helping them by talking to them with different scenarios. She's answering questions from people, actual viewers around the world. And so Katie, I am so thrilled to have you in my home.
Thanks for having me.
I want to say so many things because I also watched you with Shane Dawson.
Oh yeah. A lot of people watched.
I just want to say how much respect I have for you and what you guys did and bringing that out to light. So Katie, thank you so much for coming.
Of course, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We wanted to talk a little bit about something that's been bothering me lately. And I wanted to get the advice or opinion of a professional in what you have seen and what you've witnessed. And if I'm wrong, I want you to tell me I'm wrong. I want you to call me out. I want you to be totally and completely honest. And so one of the things that's been really bothering me as a mother, as someone who attaches her name to the YouTube name as a creator, I am really afraid of what's happening with children online. I'm afraid for what parents are not doing, what adults are not doing in the world to protect children who are in videos and children who are watching videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the whole family vlogging community.
Yes.
Online, I guess.
Yeah, because we live in such a different world now.
Totally. Because neither of us grew up. Like there was no YouTube when we were kids. Don't you guys kind of do family vlogging a little bit?
So we do.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong. But...
No, absolutely, Katie. Everyone knows we started on Vine, which was 6-second videos. A couple of years later, we moved to YouTube because we knew that Vine was on its way.
Yeah.
On YouTube, we kind of had to find our way as much as everyone else has. It's brand new. There are no courses to take to become a YouTuber. Everyone wants to know, how do you go viral? If we knew that, we would be gajillionaires.
Yeah, everybody be viral every video.
Right?
Not possible.
And so we started to put out just videos to make people laugh. And we quickly and immediately saw that this could actually be a really great thing, or it can actually be the demise of our family. This could actually tear our family apart because you can easily go from entertaining and making this your livelihood to being so obsessed with numbers, with money, with being number one, with being the best, with being the top. And when there are children involved and there's money to be made, I think that there are a lot of people making really bad decisions.
Well, yeah, because essentially you could exploit your child in order to make more money. Like, for instance, like something I talked about very publicly on my channel was a Daddy of 5 family. And the fact that they would do these pranks, but they didn't tell the child. And you could see the terror in the children's faces. They would like joke about one of the children smearing poop on the wall. As a therapist, I know that that means that there's abuse happening in the home. It's one of the first signs of it, along with wetting the bed and stuff like that. Children revert back. They call it developmentally arrested, like they're brought back to being an infant because they don't know how to process through what's going on, so they can't grow up and move forward, if that makes sense. They're kind of like stuck. And so when they talked about that and laughed about it online, I was not only extremely angry, but also just so sad for that child because they're taking from them something that should be sacred. Childhood. You should be able to grow up. You should be able to goof around at home. You should be able to feel safe in your home. I don't think any of those children felt safe in their home. And so that was my first red flag of family vlogging. Maybe not as a whole as a terrible thing, but something needs to be done. We need to be more cognizant of what's going on, or YouTube as a whole. I know that we're all independent contractors in a way to YouTube, but I feel like there needs to be like some governing body of some sort or some rules or regulations in place to protect children because there's really nothing. And if you ever work, like my husband worked in traditional production for many years, there are so many rules. Children can only work for a certain number of hours and they have to have school available there. Like a lot of people say, oh, they're homeschooling their children. And I always think, when? Between filming and editing and filming again and doing, like, when are they in school? And I always worry that the ramifications of this we haven't seen yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, so what I would love to see is for YouTube, who obviously is doing very well. We all know that they do very, very well, and Google does very well. And so why aren't we creating a group, a governing group? Let's get psychologists, psychiatrists, pediatricians, social workers, teachers, licensed therapists, people with an education, people with a piece of paper. I know education isn't everything, but there is a purpose for people who have dedicated their lives to learning, to education, and protecting children, whatever that looks like, so that they can look at videos together and say, that's not right. So maybe we need to contact that family. We need to sit down with that child, do a one-on-one with the child, make sure that they're being protected, because there's the city should be doing that. Yeah. Wherever they live, no, they don't know what's happening in your home.
Well, and you don't, so I know that there are differing governing bodies depending on where you live, but in the States, I know that I've worked personally with Child Protective Services. Let's say that I believe that my aunt is abusing her children, or I believe a patient of mine is being abused, and they're under 18. I can call Child Protective Services and file a report. And that's what has to happen in order for them to come to the house to check things out. But there is no way for them to monitor content online. That's not what they were created to do, from what I know. And if you have heard something else, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments, but I've never heard that there are any changes moving towards them managing or observing online content from families. Mm-hmm. And that's why I believe it's more in the online space, YouTube, Google, Facebook, to keep an eye on stuff like this. Because for instance, I'll put out sex health videos where I talk about what consent is, what assault is, what rape is, how do we heal, all educational, not exploitive at all, and yet it will be demonetized. However,
wow.
And there's nothing I can do to argue.
Are you kidding me?
This happens all the time. Even like videos to help people with suicidal thoughts. Because it has the word suicide, it'll never be monetized.
So actual useful things that can actually potentially help a young woman or a young man not to get sexually assaulted, or someone who has gone through that sort of trauma to learn how to heal, that education gets demonetized. But you can go online and watch parents basically exploiting their children to make money. And what do I mean by exploiting? I mean making them film each and every day. I'll tell you right now, as a YouTuber, children should not be filming each and every day.
I can't film each and every day.
I can't film each and every day. I have days. I didn't sleep well last night. I didn't eat well. I don't have energy. I'm in a bad mood. You're allowed to do that because you're human and because every day we don't look like this. But these kids are filming each and every day. There's girls being dressed completely inappropriately, young girls. Hey, here's an idea. Let's stop showing girls' bodies. Let's stop sexualizing young children and young girls. And maybe if we also raise our sons to keep their hands and their body parts to themselves, can you imagine the world that we would be living in?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that stuff's monetizable, but then education on how to heal isn't. And I feel like that's where the breakdown is for me.
That's the fail.
Yeah.
There's the fail right there. This is why we need people, we need YouTube, we need Google, we need brands, okay? Come on. It's the money. It's the money that's going to change things in our
pull
world.
Out from stuff like that.
Okay? It's creators. It's people like us saying, come on, let's do something. Enough is enough. And why do I feel so passionate about this? Why do I get so emotional? So number one, I'm a YouTube Creators for Change ambassador. Number two, why am I so passionate about this? I'm also an ambassador for Lumos that works to protect the human rights of children around the world. It's estimated there are 8 million orphans, probably more like 12 or 13 million orphans around the world who don't have a voice. And so Lumos is giving them a voice. But also, why am I so passionate about this, Katie, is because I suffered trauma as a child. I know the trauma. I know when the people around you are so wrapped up in their worlds, they fail to recognize that there is a child in front of them, this open, clean slate. And all the horrible decisions that you're making, you're writing on them. And you are determining who they become and what they become. And who knows what they could become. They could be the next world changer, the next Dalai Lama. But because of your selfishness and your inability to protect them, you are potentially destroying a human life.
Psychologically speaking, we know how important attachment is. I've talked about it in a ton of my videos. Children were born to attach. Like for instance, we know that sucking and swallowing, that's why breastfeeding, bottle feeding, it soothes our system. So if we're really upset and we feel really scared, that soothes us. Even toddlers, if you ever had a toddler throwing a tantrum and you sit them down, and if you could get them to eat or suck on a sucky candy, their system will calm down. It's like a natural pacifier. And so we know that that is how that works, and that is how we are bonded. But if your parent isn't taking any time to do that for you, to recognize when you're upset, at any age even, just taking the time to sit down with you and let you know it's okay and that they're there for you, and they come when you cry and they listen when you speak, you don't have a true sense of self. You don't know that you can count on anybody else. It could lead to various bad decisions and bad life paths. Everything from seeking out other people. That's why gang activity is very common in families who both parents have to work and they're never at home and they can't be involved. Kids seek out other kids to feel like they have a family. We seek attachment, we seek interaction with others, and if you're not getting it positively from the people that are closest to you, you're gonna find attention elsewhere, for better, for worse.
So it's that nurturing environment. It's knowing that the people who are supposed to protect you are actually doing the job that they're supposed to. And for all of us adults in the world, can we stop doing the not my job?
Yeah, or it doesn't affect me. Like, I don't have children. Why should I care?
Why should you care? You don't have kids.
But because their life is still important. I don't have to know someone to know their life is important. How horrible of a person would that make me if I didn't care about you just because I didn't know you? And I feel like the fact that YouTube is only, 12, 13 years old now, I believe in the next 5 to 7 years, we're going to start seeing the ramifications of children being captured on video where they can't consent. I think that's my biggest frustration. Candace and Casey and I used to have a podcast called Couples Therapy, and I was listening to on my flight. He was saying the reason he doesn't share about his children, other than people know they have children, they know their names, but he never shows their faces, he never vlogs them, is because they aren't able to say yes or no. And he was like, until I know that they're of an age where they can make good decisions. He was joking about how one of his daughters like dresses like crazy, and he's like, she's a kid, like just not making like thoughtful decisions. And I was like, that's fair. And until you can make thoughtful decisions, it's not really, it's a horrible parental choice to put them in a position where they want your love and attention, so they'll do whatever you ask. That's where it's exploitive, because they can't consent. Ethically, like, I know developmentally we're not adults until we're 18, right? Some would even argue it takes some of us a little longer.
What were you saying about brain development?
It's our frontal lobe, I believe, is the last to join, to be like fully developed. But it's not until the age of 18 to 23, 24, depending on the person, right? Everybody's different. Everyone's situation is going to lead to different development, but it can take a long time for that part of our brain to develop, and that's the part of our brain that makes good choices and knows who we are. They call it like our personality maker. It's our language, it's our expression of emotion, and it's our decision making. And so if that's not fully formed, how are we expected to say yes or no to being put online or engaging in some activity?
And doing it daily. As you know, when you're filming, you need to watch everything that you say, because people can very easily take something that you say in passing and tear you down for it.
Take it out of context.
Completely take it out of context. The trolls, the people who just want a reason to hate you. And so with that in mind, when you have a camera in someone's face every single day, and in this case, it's a child who is still developing, they're still discovering the world. They're discovering who they are. When you're being filmed each and every day and you're watching what you're saying and you're making sure you're saying the right things, and this is a daily thing that's expected, because you have to pay the bills.
Yeah, the pressure.
I think that as a society, we've reversed the roles where now children are expected to be the breadwinners.
Yeah, which is a scary place to be.
And the adults are kind of doing this. We film, we're YouTubers, how do we not allow this? So because from Monday to Thursday, we don't film with our children anymore. We've made the decision as a family that because my son has 2 hours of homework a night and my daughter has 1 hour.
What made you make that decision, make that change?
Because as they got older, we would say to them, we give our kids the option each and every day, do you want to shut the cameras off? And we can go back to our regular life. No one will know, no one will find us. And they say no, because there's a purpose to this. And we're making the world laugh and we get really great messages. But when the kids, as they get older and they're in school, we do not homeschool. I have my opinions about homeschooling.
I think it's good for children, something that we don't usually learn unless we have a lot of siblings or if our parents get us into activities. But again, it's out of the house. Socialization is something that a lot of children don't learn how to properly do, especially with a lot of parents who leave their children with computers or laptops or iPads all day long. It's important for us to be able to look people in the eye, to learn how to share, how to give over something to someone else, to get a hug. I used to work at a clinic back in Washington State where I grew up, and this little kid had tripped and fallen, and another kid went and helped them up, and then off they ran. They were just in a hurry to get the ball. They'd released all the balls for recess. I know it's like a silly scene, but in my head I was like, That's really important for children to have that interaction and to make friends that aren't just their siblings, and to understand. It's essentially teaching them how the world works. How do I share with someone that I don't see all the time? How do I engage with other people, hear other perspectives, work together on projects,
collaborate?
Yes, that's
Cooperation.
life. I feel like that is life. Life is cooperation as a whole. We're all in this together. That's why we both love what each other does, because we're working to make it better. And I think that all comes out of engaging with other children from a young age and learning how to be together and work together.
And I feel like also the accountability. What's the accountability? Whereas when you go to an educational institution, when you go to school, there's that accountability to the teacher, to the administration. I'm not sure about that dynamic. If the parents one day want to stay in bed all day and you know, let's just stay in bed, or oh, today we're gonna go on a field trip to the grocery store. And so that's the thing is, so because our kids have a ton of homework, we have made the decision as a family that we will not film during the week. They go to their programs, they go to their music, they do their fitness, they do all that stuff, and they have time to be kids. And to do nothing.
Which is the important part. I think that's what children are missing. The ones that are being forced to film every day or being homeschooled. I feel like in a way that style and that structure is stealing from them, because they're not able to participate in soccer, let's say, if they really wanted to participate in soccer, because they don't have time. What child have you ever known prior to the digital world existing to say, oh, I'd like to do dance, but I don't have time. I have to work. Right? Like that's what I have to do in my head to make it make sense for me, is imagine a 6-year-old child coming to you because your 6-year-old child was like, hey, I really want to go kick the ball out outside. Can Katie come and play? And me having to say as a 6-year-old me, oh no, I have to work. I feel like that's what we're doing to them without recognizing it, is forcing them to work.
But it's also creating greater numbers of this. I feel like, okay, I understand YouTube wants to have an open platform and everyone has a voice.
How do we recognize the difference between a channel like yours and a channel that might be forcing their children to film every day for 12 hours a day to put the vlogs out in time? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's maybe why YouTube hasn't done something. This is just to play devil's advocate, because it's always fair to see both sides, right? What could be something they could do to ensure that there are more channels like ours and less channels where the children are forced to film or be on camera for most of their days all day?
If there were measurements in place, parameters, if there were actual teams of people, because we know there's money. If you have teams of people, 100 people who say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're gonna go visit these families. We're gonna make a house visit. We're gonna see the conditions of the home. We're gonna see inside the fridge. Is there food? Is it clean? Is it a healthy environment for the children? Then we're gonna sit with the children in the family and have a one-on-one conversation. So how do you feel when you're in front of the camera? How do you feel with mom and dad? What do you guys talk about? Do you ever feel scared? When I ask my children these questions, it's amazing what will actually come out of children. Children are very honest beings when you allow them to be. I'm
trying to think, and I think that's a great idea. I'm trying to think of like loopholes, because people always find loopholes.
But we also know that YouTube has said that, okay, before you post each video, you have to click these boxes that the children are not in danger, you know, there's nothing sexualized. I feel like that is a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of what needs to be done to ensure the safety of children. But I'd love to hear what you think.
Like going back to what we talked about earlier, how I will create educational content around abuse or sexual assault, and if I use terms like sex, self-harm, suicide, it's not monetizable. We could do the same when it comes to family vlogging, where in the same way that I have to check a box that says, oh, this has sexual content, because I'm talking about sex health, I curse in this one, because I do cuss in my videos off and on, and I have to check boxes saying yes or no for monetization, and they review manually. I don't think it's too much to ask that YouTube add in an extra layer where it says, are there children in this video, which I feel like it should always ask. You should say yes. Then it has all of the different documents and forms and approvals that you need to get in order to allow them to be in. And you have to say yes and either upload the forms or show that you have had them in therapy in the last month, or you've had a site visit.
Proof of education, right?
Proof of enrollment in school, number of hours worked. I mean, like, I know that people will still find loopholes because nothing's perfect, but it's at least it's like a higher bar for people to allow children in videos. Because going back to what we talked about, like, they can't consent. They might say, Mom, I'm tired, but if I know, psychologically speaking, that children will do whatever they can to get love. because we're programmed to, yes, we want our parents to love and approve of us because we're slowly building our own sense of self. And we all know, if we think back to kid us, our sense of self is all wrapped up in our family and friends. And if we don't go to school, if we're homeschooled, what's left is just family. So we want our family to love and approve of who we are.
And
so
to validate us.
Yes, and so we'll do anything. And so that's why I don't think a child saying, yeah, I want to film today, mommy, really means they do. Because we don't really know. You know, like, you're going to have to prove that it's okay. And I think we could obviously work a little bit more. And I'd be happy to work with YouTube to figure out what those different
We would
line
both
items.
be happy to work with YouTube.
Yes.
We're on board, guys. We're trying to help. This is the whole purpose of this, is we
'Cause
want to
there's-
help and make it stronger and better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, someone has to be the voice for the kids.
Yeah, because there has to be a solution for this because no one's speaking up. And the Daddy of 5 was just the one that I heard about. It can't be the only one.
We know of at least one family who has pulled their children out of school full time
No, to film more?
to film more. And of course, I can't say who that is. But sadly, if there is one family,
Yeah, how many more? Especially because people see it as an easy way to make money now, where they think, oh, we already have our family, we'll just start filming and put it online. We're having some financial issues. There's got to be a solution. So what are those steps? In the same way we worry about monetization. I don't believe family vloggers in the same way that my content shouldn't be monetizable until I fill out that form.
getting back to monetization and something that we practice on our channel as a family, as creators, is to ensure that our children are compensated, because at the end of the day, they're creating videos, they're creating content. And so what we've done for our children is they are equal partners in our business. So we each own 25% of AB Family. Their money gets put into a trust fund. When they go to university, their university will be completely paid for.
That's amazing. I'm still paying for mine, by the way. I would have really appreciated
Girl, I had
something
3
like that.
jobs. I had 3 jobs to put myself through school. And so this is what we are doing to them. We're not buying fancy cars and
No
going on-
Lamborghinis.
No Lamborghinis. This is what we're doing to make sure that they are protected and that they are not exploited for the time and effort that they're putting into.
That's another bar to set, because I don't know if there are any rules or regulations within like traditional media, but I'd assume there are to some respects, because when you pay something out, you have to pay it to a company or a person. They have to pay taxes on that. There's certain, like, we know as business owners the way that money comes in, and I feel like that's another way to ensure that children are being respected and taken care of. There has to be a certain percentage that must be saved. Honestly, going back to kind of like what we talked about, I think it's just a higher bar to have children in videos. Like, people can hate and be upset about it, but think about the child. I know that a lot of you love family vloggers. I know that you feel like you're following them and watching them grow up, and that's great, but we have to think back to the child whose childhood is online forever. And they never...
Starting from the day that they literally come out into the world, there's a camera there waiting for them. Surprise! Welcome to YouTube!
Can you imagine?
But that's what's
I know.
happening.
But like, thinking of all the stupid stuff I've done through my life and like how embarrassed I'd be if, I don't know.
It was all documented?
Yeah.
Shopping for your first bra.
Yes. Oh my God. That's just not okay. There's certain things that are private. We need to give all children the ability to have things happen in private and grow up at the pace that works for them.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
Call me old fashioned.
It's enough that like 4 people are there, like making sure you don't die and the baby's okay.
Right? Oh, but make sure that the makeup artist gets my hair right, and make sure that the professional photographer and the videographer, oh, sorry, doctor, can you step out of the way, please, so that the video person can get in, because we need views on this baby.
Right.
Right? And if this baby doesn't get views, then we're gonna get another baby that is gonna get views. Come on.
But what is that cycle?
Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I'm saying is, let's be real, guys. At the end of the day, nothing is gonna change, nothing is gonna improve unless we're honest.
It's true. And a lot of the examples we're giving you probably think like, well, that's ridiculous. It happens. It's happening. I think in a lot of ways, unfortunately, because we're all very busy and we're all doing our own thing, we think, oh, yeah. Whatever. Enough is enough.
Because we've been conditioned to think that this is normal. What was that family who had 19 children?
Oh yeah, 19 kids and counting.
19 kids and counting. Pop out more babies, more babies, more babies, more babies. And then they had this scandal because they were so busy bringing in new babies that they didn't realize that the son
was abusing the daughters.
How did you not have that conversation with your son to keep your hands and your body parts to yourself, and especially not to your sister? Instead of having more babies, can we actually parent our children?
Yeah, pay attention, be present, parent. I don't have children, so people will, can be upset about that, but I don't have kids. But if I did, that would be a huge commitment to develop and grow a good human that is a respectful, wonderful member of society. I feel like that's not a lot to ask,
Oh my God. Oh my God. We need to do this more often.
We do.
So talking about babies and the production of babies, in the 80s, we had television shows like Different Strokes and Growing Pains, who, when the numbers were starting to dwindle down, they would bring another child on set.
Yeah, like a neighbor kid, or like this person has a friend that all of a sudden is there, and it's like a new character arc, a new story, another person to learn about.
And so it was Leonardo DiCaprio in Growing Pains. If you guys don't know these shows, fantastic shows, our kids love them. So my concern is that when the views go down, another baby is brought.
Yeah, or a puppy or a baby.
Right?
I feel like a young thing is always brought into the fold to potentially get more views, make things more exciting, bring those numbers back up. That's a dangerous space to be in.
Why do you think it's dangerous?
I don't have children. Again, I have to say that because the reason that I don't is because if I was to be a parent, it would be a full-time job. And that's not something that I'm willing to do right now. And to bring a child into the world as a means to make more money or to garner more views from conception is not a healthy thing to have happen. Do you know what I mean? Imagine thinking that you were created to make money. Like, what a horrible...
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, but it's like, but if we just think about it, like...
This is stuff that goes on in my head, and to hear someone say it, to me, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone right now.
But it's like, it's a sad thing for a child. A child should be brought into the world because of love and because of the want for a family and to be a parent, not, oh, our numbers are down.
Sally Joe couldn't get the numbers anymore, so you were brought in.
It's not because we want to talk down to anybody or say that I'm better. That's not the idea. The idea is children are being used.
They deserve better from us. They deserve adults who are willing to be accountable, to just grow up. Can we just do a better job as adults in the world to protect our children and make sure that we raise this healthy generation? Like I don't know, I'm damaged from my childhood. Yeah. I don't know if you've had a perfect childhood, but...
No, nobody has a perfect childhood. We're all in recovery from something that happened to us. You know what I mean? Our parents do the best they can
with what they know.
Yeah.
But when you know better, you do better. Just like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, do better. And we know better.
Yeah.
But we have to speak the truth.
Yeah.
And only from speaking the truth are we actually going to grow.
Yeah.
But it takes change. It takes uncomfortable change. But once you get out of that uncomfortability...
Well, I think that's why people haven't talked about it, because they're uncomfortable. Things are uncomfortable. You never change without going through that period. With uncomfortability comes change. And so I think that even though YouTube might feel uncomfortable about requiring a little bit more for videos that have children in it, what's at stake? A lot. Childhoods.
The future of our world. Look at what's happening with our world, with all the refugees.
I know.
With families on the bridge. What are we doing to our kids around the world?
Not parenting.
I feel like we're just scraping.
Totally.
There are so many topics that we can go into. I would love to do this again. I would love to know your thoughts, good or bad. Don't worry, I have my thick skin armor on. Give it to me. I can take it. If there's something else that you want me to talk with Katie about, I would love to delve more into labor laws and why we need labor laws for children. We need to make sure that children are being protected and not exploited, because we already have a huge problem in our world with child slavery. Both Katie and I are so passionate because, well, this week we're going to Los Angeles.
Yeah, they're premiering a documentary called The Price of Free. And I get to meet and interview the gentleman who started the Kailash Foundation. His name is Kailash, and it works to end child slavery because there are millions of children, many undocumented, like they don't even know that they are child slaves, and they're forced to work. And so part of what the Kailash Foundation does is it raises money to get children out of that cycle of poverty, because the parents will send them off to work because they need the money, even if it's just like $1 a month. Many of them make that much money. Also, they're working with legislation to enforce stricter laws for children and like labor laws, like we were just talking about.
And these are the same people who brought us the documentary He Named Me Malala. And so we are so excited to participate, to join them, and to really put out the word of, We need to do a better job, guys, in our world of protecting our children. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched the whole thing, thank you very, very much for watching the whole thing. And Katie, I love you so much. I have so much respect for you, and I hope we can continue to do more stuff like this. We are going to add Katie's link to this video. Please check out her channel. She is one of my favorite human beings on the planet, and she's doing really great things for people like me who have a story to tell. She's doing some really great stuff to help people like me heal. And she has a new book coming out.
Yes, I do. It's called Are You Okay? And it's available for pre-order now, and it comes out December 11th.
I've already ordered mine. I suggest you get yours. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click on the icon on the left and a little thingy will pop up and you get to subscribe. If you already have subscribed, please forget everything that I have just said.
What's that voice?
It's my radio voice. Bye.